We begin today the Gemara on Daf Pei Vav Amud Aleph, the second line from the top of the Yamud. The Gemara brings what it said in the Mishnah regarding a shtar shichrur that's used to free an evet. Gufay shall get shichrur, harei at pas chayrin. So you write to an evet, or here it's speaking about a Amma Ivriya, or a shichrur kananis that you're freeing. So you write to harei at pas chayrin, you're free, or harei at la'atzmacha, you are for yourself. Ask Rav Yehuda. So the Gemara says in connection to this, Rav Yehuda instituted b'shtar zvini davdi. When you use a shtar, you write a document to acquire an evet. So you write into the shtar as follows: Avda dinon mutzdik la'avdai. This following evet here is justified for serving, to be an evet, meaning he's fit to be an evet. There's nothing, there's no challenges regarding the sale here. It's a clear sale. Upatir va'atir min charuri. And he's removed and he's separated from any freedom, umin aluli, or from any other kind of irur on him, umin eruri de malka or malkasa, and also from a irur of the king or queen. Rashi says would mean that if this is a person that is the king has his head because he's muhtav l'malchus to be executed. So here he's being sold as an eved, and then you discover that he's going to be taken to be executed. So he's free from that as well. V'rasham de'inish les loy is alohi, and any sign of any other ownership of any other person there isn't on him. So he's totally free and clear to acquire. Umenuke mikol mum, and he's also clean from any blemish. Rashi says that refers to a blemish here would be that if you discover that this eved that you're buying is a wild and dangerous person. He's a listim mezuyin, so that's the mum it means here. Not a physical mum, but in his behavior. Oh, and here's a physical mum, umin shchin the nafik atitzar, and shchin from any boils that could come out on his body in the time period of the next 2 years. Titzar is an expression in Lashon Parsi. Rashi says that means 2 years. Chadas v'atik, whether old boils or new boils or old boils, meaning that you're making it clear that if it turns out that this person has this blemish, that he'll develop this condition on his body, so then the whole sale won't be a sale. So you're making it clear that that sale is because he doesn't have this condition. Okay, that's the kind of shtar you write when you acquire an evet. Since the Gemara brought up here this shchin, so it says, my asuse, what is the healing for this kind of boils that you have? Amar Abaye says, here's the ingredients. Gimbira, take ginger, umartache, and martache, which is something that comes from the silver. When you take the silver out of the ground and it has the schmutz with the silver, what are different parts of the silver, you put it to the inside as well. And then also v'chavrisa, is that it's right over here? Kavrisa, which is sulfur, and cholad the chamre, wine vinegar, umeshcha the zeisa, olive oil, v'natfik chibre, and white nafta. And you take all of this and you mix it together, and v'shai filei begatva the avza. And then you apply it on the person with a goose feather. That's the healing for this kind of shchin. Okay. This is a Mishnah that was quoted earlier in the Masechta, and this is a very fundamental Mishnah for the halacha of a get. So the Mishnah begins with Shloisha Gittin Psulin. There are 3 kinds of Gittin that will be pasul midrabanan. V'imnisis havlat kasha. But nevertheless, if she went and got married to someone and she has children, it's going to be kosher. There are some times, obviously, when she goes and gets married with a get that was pasul and atayra, so she's still fully an Eishes Ish, the child that's born is a mamzer. But even if the get was only pasul with the Rabbanon, we had earlier in the Masechta, and we'll see soon the Gemara brings the opinion of Rab Meir that says that if you don't listen to exactly the way Chacham said to write a get, and you go and get married, so then avlad mamzer as well, if you mishanim in matbeh shetov Chachamim. But this Mishnah is coming to say, and according to some opinions, this is even Rab Meir here, that this is an exception. That over here, the get is pasul, but if she goes and gets married, the vlad will be kosher. What are these 3 gittin? Kasa b'ksav yadai. The husband wrote the get himself with his own handwriting. Vein olav edim, and there are no edim on this get. Okay, so what's the story over here with such a kind of a get? If you wrote it without edim, why should this get be kosher? So this Mishnah here, what's relevant for the pshat of the Mishnah is to remember the machlokes of Rab Meir and Rab Elazar, whether edei chsime karti or edei mesire karti. What are the main edim of a get? Is it the signatures, or is it the edim that you have when you give the get? Right, so Rashi here says, when it says in the Mishnah here that you write a get with ksav yad and there are no edim at all, So the Mishnah is saying that this get is only possible with the Rabbanan. Why is it only possible with the Rabbanan? So the Tana Kama in this Mishnah cannot be like Rabbi Lazar that says that the Eidim are when you give the get, because as we'll see, the next part of the Mishnah is Rabbi Lazar speaking. So this is not Rabbi Lazar. But on the other hand, it doesn't seem to be Rabbi Meir either. Rabbi Meir says you have to have proper signatures on the get. How does the person's Ksav Yad help? In one pshat, Rashi says that this ratio of the Mishnah is not Rabbi Meir and not Rabbi Lazar. It's another opinion. But then Rashi says, and Taisva says, there's a Taisva earlier about this on Daf Gimel Amud Beis, that this is Rabbi Meir. And you have to have signatures of the get, on the get. But a person writing the get with his own handwriting is equivalent to Eidim, or it's even better than Eidim. Rashi says it's like 100 Eidim. The whole point of having Eidim sign a get is to say that they know that the husband said to write this get. It's not someone that went and decided to write it. So if the husband is writing it and we can verify that it's with his own handwriting, that's the best. It's as good as and even better than two Eidim.
But still possible.
Midrabanan, it's possible. Now, why is it possible midrabanan? Is also machlekes rishonim. Rashi's opinion is that it's possible midrabanan because once you kasher a get without edim, just with the husband's handwriting, people might make a mistake and think that just with a sefer, any scribe writing it without edim could also be kasher. So pasha because of that chashash, chachamim possible it.
So that would all this would apply even if the husband's around.
Yeah, correct.
That I did
Yes,
it all and
correct. The second case, Yesh Shalav Eidim Ve'en Beizman, a get that is written, signed properly, but it doesn't have a date. So we had this earlier in the Masechta. One of the things Chachamim were Masakin is that every get has to have a date for various reasons. A third case, Yesh Beizman, the get has a date, Ve'en Be'ela Eid Echad. Now only one aid signed this get. So what exactly the case over here is, if only one aid signed it, so again, if we're following Rav Meir's opinion, so seemingly one aid is not good. So we'll see in the Gemara Machlekes of Rab and Shmuel what the case here is. So these three cases, Harei Elu Shloisha Gittin Psulin, they're all three pasal midrabanan. Ve'im nisis, but here this is an exception. If she gets married after this, havlad kosher, the child will still be kosher, and that could be even according to Rav Meir that usually says that the vlad would be pasal even if it's a get that's pasal midrabanan. But here the vlad is kosher. Rabbi Lazar argues and says, and here's the source of the famous opinion of Rabbi Lazar that says that a get does not need signatures at all. The get has no Eidim. The main thing is that it was given in front of Eidim, kosher. The get will be kosher. And not only is the get itself kosher that she's divorced, but you can use this get as a proof to go and collect ksuba money, or the Gaiv min Chasam Shabbatim could be referring to not only a get, but any document of money, a sale or a law, whatever it is. You can use just the Eidim Mesira to now have a kosher shtar to collect nechasim mishubadim. The klal is you can only collect from properties that have been sold off to someone else. That's what nechasim mishubadim means if you have a proper shtar. So even with edim that are not signed, but were there when you gave the shtar, that makes the shtar completely kosher. She'ein edim chaysmim ala get elam ibnei tikkun olam. This that we have edim sign a get is not because you have to have signatures in a get. It's only for tikkun ha'olam, because what happens if the Eidim Mesira die or they leave, and now you have to prove that the get is kosher. So if you don't have them, how are you going to prove it? So you have signatures in the get itself that will be able to prove it. So it's only tikkun ha'olam, but really it's the Eidim Mesira that make the get kosher. Here, this last line of the Mishnah is a big machlekes Rishonim how to understand this. Based on this last line, the Rif, the Rambam, and many Rishonim say that it must be that Rabbi Lazar that says that you don't need signatures in a get agrees though that if you have signatures in a get, then those signatures are perfect, and then you won't need Eidei Mesira. Meaning Rabbi Lazar's opinion is that you can use one or the other, either Eidei Mesira or Eidei Chsime. That's the Rif's opinion and many Rishonim. In other words, the lashon that Rishonim say is Rabbi Lazar holds af Eidei Mesira karti. It's a choice, either one. And the raya is because look, the Mishnah says that if you put Eidei Chsima on the get, there's a tikkun olam. What's the tikkun olam? That I cannot rely on the signatures of the get. If Rabbi Lazar would hold that signatures on the get do not make a get kosher, you must have Eidim Mesira, so then what is the tikkun olam? That's the opinion of Rif. But other Rishonim hold, Taisvis and many other Rishonim hold it, no. Rabbi Lazar holds you must have Eidim Mesira. There's no other way. Elamai, why do the signatures help? Because once you see signatures in a get, that itself is a raya that mistama everything with the get was done by kashrus. The Eidim sign in a get is a raya, non-sahadi, that mistama it was given over properly with Eidim. But you must have those Eidim, the Eidim Mesira. That's a shit of Taisus and other Rishonim. Okay, so the Gemara, we had here in the Mishnah 3 cases. Only Gimel Gittin Psulim. But V'suleke, Are there no other cases where there's a similar halacha that the get is pasul midrabanan and the vlad will still be kosher if she goes and gets married? So Gemara will bring a few different cases we had before in the Masechta. V'ha'ike get yasham. There's the halacha of a get yasham, which is a get that was written and wasn't given right away, and then she continued living with her husband, and then the Gemara said you're not allowed to use that get again. It may look later like a child was born after the get. And over there, what's the halacha? If she goes and gets married anyway, the vlad is kosher. Why isn't it counted in our Mishnah? And says the Gemara, Hasan, by the case of the get yashon, if she got married with this get, loy teitze. She doesn't have to leave her new husband. Hacha, over here, even though we said the child is kosher, but teitze. Over here, the halacha though will be if she got married after she received such a get, she has to leave her husband. That was something that wasn't specified in our Mishnah, what the halach is, whether she has to leave a new marriage or not. So here, now the Gemara is saying that in our Mishnah, the halach is teitze. But the Gemara says that there's actually a machlokes about this. And we'll see soon on Amud Beis, there's a machlokes regarding this detail. Does she have to leave her new husband or not?
Hach in the Mishnah?
Hach in the Mishnah,
So
yeah.
all the three cases?
All three cases, the Gemara is saying she would have to leave her new husband. But the Gemara says, it's machlokes. This is a good answer if over here the halacha is that she has to leave the new husband. But there's another opinion that says, Rav says in Amud Beis, that in our Mishnah the pshat is, not only is the vlad kosher, but if she got married, she doesn't have to leave a new husband. So what are we going to say? It's the same like the case of get yashan. Why was get yashan not mentioned here? Answers the Gemara, Hasan by get yashan, it's more lenient. You're not supposed to use this get, but once you used it, she could lechatchila go and get married. Hacha the yevin. Over here, lechatchila, she's not allowed to go and get married. But once she got married, so then loy teitze. So it's not the same thing. Over here, it's more stringent. Another case, but get kireyach. There's the case of the get kireyach, which we had before regarding a get that's given. It's called a get makusha, that's used by a kohen, where it's written and folded, and in every fold you have to have another aid that signs it. There has to be a signature in every single fold. But if there's not a signature in every fold, it's pasul midrabanan. It's called get kireyach. It's bold, meaning it's missing a signature. And over there, what's the halacha? It's only a psul midrabanan, and seemingly the Gemara now is thinking that there it's the same din, that if you get married, then the vlad is kosher. So the Gemara says, no, actually, hasam havlad mamzer. By the get kireyach, if she gets married and the child is born, the child will be a mamzer. Hacha havlad kosher. Over here, the child is kosher, so it doesn't belong in the list of our Mishnah. That's true according to Rav Meir. Rav Meir over there holds that the child will be a mamzer. The Amar Rav Meir says, if you change anything from the way Chacham instituted how a get should be written, the child is a mamzer. So therefore Rav Meir held there by the get kireyach that the child is a mamzer. So it doesn't belong in our Mishnah. But according to the Rabbanan, the Rabbanan hold it by the get kireyach, the child is not a mamzer. So it does belong in our Mishnah in the list of the things where the child is kosher. And says the Gemara, like we said before, Hasam teitze. By the case of the get kireyach, she got married to someone, she's going to have to leave. Hachale teitze. But here, if she gets married, then she does not have to leave. So again, the Gemara asks, but even in our mission, this is a machlokes. It's a good answer according to the opinion that says that in our Mishnah, once she's married, she doesn't have to leave. But according to the opinion that says that over here, even if she gets married, she has to leave. So then the halacha of get kireyach is the same like the halacha of our Mishnah. It should have been the counter here. And says the Gemara, b'mekusher loy kamari. You're right, it's the exact same thing, but the Mishnah is giving the list of a regular get poshet, a regular get, not a get mekusher. A third question the Gemara asks from a case where the get is pasul midrabanan, v'ha'ike shloi malchus. There's the case of the get that's pasul when you didn't write the date to the king of Bavel. If you wrote a different king or you wrote up another date, not proper, you didn't give the proper attention and for the shalom of the malchus, and over there the get is pasul midrabanan. But if she goes and gets married, the child is going to be kosher. So why isn't it mentioned in our Mishnah? So again, the Gemara starts with the same answer. Hasam teitze. By shloim malchus, that kind of a get, if she got married, she has to leave. V'hacha loy teitze. But over here in our Mishnah, if she got married, she doesn't have to leave. So it's a good answer according to the opinion that says that in our Mishnah, if she got married, she doesn't have to leave. But according to the opinion that says that in our Mishnah she has to leave, so then what are you going to say? It's the exact same thing as the get that's possible because of shloim malchus. So let's skip the parentheses. So the Gemara answers, Maikila Kid Meir. He's going to have to say that according to Rab Meir. This opinion that says that in our Mishnah the halacha is Teitzei, so he holds that Mishnah there goes according to Rab Meir, and therefore v'hosam Rab Meir holds by the get of Shloim Malchus Havlad Mamzer. The child is a mamzer. V'hacha havlat kasha. But over here it's different. Here Rab Meir held that if our Mishnah is Rab Meir, then Rab Meir held that our Mishnah is an exception, even though usually Rab Meir says, Mishanim v'madbeir shetov v'chacham v'gittin the vlad is a mamzer, but in our Mishnah, Chachamim l'chatchila instituted it in such a way that the child should be kasha. So it doesn't belong in our Mishnah. Okay, so that's explaining all these cases, why it wasn't mentioned here. Now, the Gemara focuses on the lashon of the Mishnah itself here. Minyana dereisha lemutamai, the number that's mentioned in the beginning of the Mishnah, it started off, shloisha gittin psulim. Why is it mentioning a number? It has to be coming to be excluding something. What is it coming to exclude? Minyana de seife lemutamai. Then it gives a number a second time. After it says the three things, it says again, hare elu shloisha gittin psulim. Why is it giving a number again? It says the Gemara minyana dereisha, the number it says in the beginning, lemuta hanidamara. It comes to exclude all these cases that we just mentioned, that you would think it has the same halacha as our Mishnah, but it doesn't. The number that it says again in the Seife, Lamute ha, comes to exclude the following halacha, which is what we learned all the way in the beginning of the Masechta. The Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, Hamei, you get Medina Sayam. A get that's being brought, it's being delivered from outside Eretz Yisrael. And then what's the halacha? You have to, the shliach that brings the get has to testify about the kashrus of the get. He has to say, B'fana nichta b'fana nechtam, was written and signed in front of me. Nasnei la, v'lo yama, b'fana nichta b'fana nechtam. If he gave it to her and he did not say, B'fana nichta b'fana nechtam, so then, yoitzi, v'havlat mamzer. She has to leave the second marriage, and the child will be a mamzer. Divrei Rab Meir, that's what Rab Meir says. The Chachamim say, Ein avlad mamzer. No, the child will not be a mamzer. So what do you do? Keitzad yasa. What do you do with this get? Yitlenu heimena. You take the get back. V'yachsa v'yitlenu la b'fnei shnayim, and you can give it over again in front of two people, in front of Eidim. V'yayim b'fanei nichta b'fanei nechtam. You just say again, b'fanei nichta b'fanei nechtam. Okay, so according over here, you see in this case, Rab Meir is saying that the vlad is a mamzer. So our Mishnah is saying that Rab Meir held over there that the vlad is a mamzer, but that case is not included in our Mishnah, because over here the vlad is kosher. Okay, now the Gemara will explain the last case of our Mishnah, where the Gemara starts off with, it said in our Mishnah, Kosav v'ksav yadai v'ein eleveitim. The first case was that the get was written with the handwriting of the husband. The second case was the whole get was written properly, but there was just no zman, there was no date. And then the third case of our Mishnah was just 1/8 signed. So now, Omar Rav said about our Mishnah, Ksav Yadai Shaninu, that in our Mishnah it's talking about the handwriting of the husband. Now, it's not clear regarding which one of these three cases Rav said, so the Gemara will explain. Ahai, regarding which case? Ilema Reisha, was Rav saying this regarding the first case of the Mishnah? Pshita, that's obvious. Ksav Yadai Ketani, that is the first case. It says in the Mishnah, it was written with the handwriting of the husband. V'hela Mitzisa, is it referring to the middle case of the Mishnah? Why would it have to be the handwriting of the husband? Harayesh Olav Eidim. The case here is that there's Eidim that signed it. You don't need anything more than that. Elo Aseife. Rav said this regarding the last case of the Mishnah, which was Yesh Beizman, a get that was written properly with the date, but Ve'ein by Elei Dechad. The Mishnah said the case is that only 1/8 signed it. So on that, Rav said, why does the Mishnah, when only 1/8 signed it, say that the get is kosher min atayr and it's only possible with the Rabbanon, v'dafke ksav yodei? It's only if, besides the fact that you have 1/8, the husband's ksav yad, it's his handwriting over here on the get. So therefore, what the Mishnah is saying is, min atayr, such a get is kosher, because you basically have two eidim. You have the ksav yad of the husband, and you also have an eidechad here on this get. But nevertheless, mit the Rabbanon, it's possible. So Rashi here explains, it's not necessary to say this case, because if in the first case of the Mishnah, when you have only the ksav yad of the husband, so the get is kosher just with the ksav yad of the husband, so for sure, if you have the ksav yad together with an aid, the get should be completely kosher. So Rashi says, the chiddush over here of the Sefer is to say that in such a case, the get is still going to be possible with the Rabbanan. You may have thought that only if you have the ksav yad of the husband alone and you don't have any other aid on it, then the get is possible with the Rabbanan. But if there's another aid on it, so maybe it should be completely kosher. Right, so therefore, it has to say that this case as well, that even though you have an aid in addition to the ksav yad, still the get is going to be possible with the Rabbanan. Again?
People think, right, one is enough.
Could be, Anachanami, could be that it's the same gzeira, the same chashash, that people might come to make that mistake, that only one aid is enough. But it's an additional chiddush. In the Reisha, it spoke about a case where there was no aidim at all, and here there's one aid together with the ksav yad, and it's still coming to say that the same halacha applies. Okay, now the Gemara explains according to Rav, avol ksav sefer ve'aid, if this get was written with the handwriting of a sefer, and there's an aid that signed it, like over here, the halacha would not be so. Over here, this get is pasul, and the vlad is going to be a mamzer. It's not. You don't have the same halacha does not apply. Only dafke when it's the ksav yad of the baal together with this aid. Shmuel Omar, however, Shmuel argues and says, afilik ksav sefer ve'aid, even if you have the handwriting of the sefer, and then you have a one aid that signed it, is also going to be kosher. Right? In other words, according to Shmuel, we could count midrabanan or minat Torah. Actually, you consider the ksav of the sefer to be like an aid. The sefer that wrote it is one aid, and then there's the aid that's signing it. So minat Torah the get is kosher. That's what the Mishnah was talking about. Shaharei, and Shmuel brings you a raya. This says in the Mishnah later here on Daf Pezayin Amud Beis. Shaninu, the Mishnah there says ksav sefer ve'aid kosher. That if you have a ksav sefer and an aid that signed the get, then minat Torah the get is kosher. So it's a clear Mishnah. How could Rav argue with this? So the Gemara explains, Rav, and Rav will answer you, midami, you can't compare. Hasam there, that Mishnah says, Tinasi lechatchila. There, the case of Ksav Sefer Ve'ed, the Mishnah says that there's no problem to get it all, she can lechatchila get married. Hacha di'evet. Our Mishnah is saying that midrabanan it's still possible, so there has to be a difference between our Mishnah and the Mishnah later. You can't bring any raya from there. And Rashi brings from what it says later, that there, in that Mishnah of Pezayim, when it says Ksav Sefer Ve'ed, it doesn't just mean that the Sefer wrote the get, but after the Sefer wrote, he put his signature also. He says you're supposed to understand that Mishnah, Chsam Sefer, that the Sefer actually signed the get. So that's nothing to do with our Mishnah. Now Shmuel, according to Shmuel, this becomes a question. If both our Mishnah and the Mishnah later is talking about the same case where the Sefer wrote the get and one aid signed it, why in our Mishnah does it say that Lachatchila it's pasul, and why does the Mishnah on Daf Pezayin say that Lachatchila it's kosher? So Shmuel will answer like kasher. It's not a question. Ha b'safra the muvik. If it's a sefer that's on this job always to write Gittin, and he knows the halachas properly, knows exactly what writing a get is, and that he has to get the permission and the go-ahead from the husband to write a get, so then in such a case, the writing of the get by the sefer is equivalent to a signature. He knows exactly what he's writing, and he has to write it for the husband. But our Mishnah was speaking about someone, a scribe that went and wrote a get, but he's not muvik, he doesn't know the halachas of a get, so therefore he might have written the get without hearing it from the husband. So therefore, l'chatchila, we can't rely on this sefer as one signature. Rav Yochanan said like Rav, like Ksav Yodoi Shaninu, that the pshat in the sefer of our Mishnah is that there's one aid together with the handwriting of the husband. Amalei Rabbi Lazar, so Rabbi Lazar, when he heard what Rav Yochanan said, he didn't understand that he was talking about the last case of our Mishnah. So he thought he was talking about the middle case. The middle case in our Mishnah, this Eidim. So why do you need the handwriting of the husband? Amalei Sefer. So he answered him like we explained before, that he's going on the sefer of the Mishnah. Okay, so that's the machlokes regarding the last case, what it's talking about. Now, the Gemara comes back to a point that was mentioned before. The Mishnah doesn't specify clearly what happens if she went and got married. Should she leave the second marriage or not? Now, Zimnin Amar Rav, sometimes Rav said that Allah is Teitzei. She has to leave the second marriage. Zimnin Amar Rav, other times Rav would say Loi Teitzei. She doesn't have, see, Paskin the opposite, she doesn't have to leave the second marriage. So, HaKeitzad, what's the difference? Yesh Labanim, if it's a case where she got married and she already had children, so then Rav would say Loi Teitzei. Rav would paskin she could stay married, because if Rav would paskin that she has to leave, it would be a big laz on the children that they're not kosher. Ein Labanim, if she got married but there are no children yet, then Rav would paskin Teitzei, that she has to leave. Masav Mazutr Bar Tuvia asked from the following Mishnah. So this is in the beginning of Masechta Yevamis, where it talks about the halacha of tzaras erva. What's the halacha of tzaras erva? By the mitzvah of yibum, if this wife of the brother that passed away without children, and now there's a mitzvah of yibum for the brother, but if she's an erva, let's say she was a niece, and therefore now she's a daughter of this brother, so there is no mitzvah of yibum. Not only is there no mitzvah of yibum for her, but there's also no mitzvah of yibum for any other wife, for any tzara. But now what happens if this tzara it's not clear if she's even a wife or not. It's a suffix if she was married to the brother that passed away. So the Mishnah says, "V'kulon sha'oy ben suffix kedushin a suffix kedushin." If regarding this erva, there's a suffix if she was b'chlal properly married or not, or there's a suffix if the husband, the brother, before he passed away, a get that he gave her, was it a proper get or not? So then the other wife, the tzara, it's not clear whether they become potter from the mitzvah of yibum or not. So harei lu chaltzes, so they're going to have to do chalitze, because maybe it was a kedushin, or maybe it was not a gedushin, so therefore it's necessary to do chalitze. But v'loy misyabmais, you can't do yibum because maybe this erva was married to the husband, and there's, if it's pater the tzara from the yibum. That's the halacha. Now the Mishnah there specifies the case. Ketzat safek kedushin, that is, what's the case of safek kedushin? So this is something we had earlier in the Masechta here. Zarak law kedushin. The husband threw her the money of the kedushin. Safek karev law, safek karev loy, and it landed in a place where it's a safek whether it was closer to her or closer to him. Zel safek kedushin. So that's a safek kedushin if she acquired it, if she became married to him. Safek gedushin. What's a safek gedushin? And this brings here the case that we learned in the Mishnah. Kasav b'ksav yadai, when the get was written with the handwriting of the husband, ve'ein olav edim, but there's no edim that signed it. Or yesh olav edim, edim did sign it, but ve'ein b'izman, that it doesn't have the date. Or yesh b'izman, it has a date, but ve'ein b'yela eid echad. There's only an eid echad. Harezeh safek gedushin. This is a case which is safek gedushin. So as we just learned here, this is not really over here. The safek gedushin is minat Torah. It's a good get. But midrabanan, they were chayshish because they had gzeiris and they said that it shouldn't be a get. So therefore, this is a case that we're going to say regarding the tzara of this erva that midrabanan we have to be machmer to say that maybe it was not a get, and therefore maybe she does need yibum. So we do chalitza and not yibum. That's what it says there. Now the Gemara says, but v'i omrit. If you're going to say like Rav said in this case of safek gedushin, or in other words, really in this case where chachamim were machmer that it should not be a get. So Rav says that loy teitze, if she got married and there's already children in the new marriage, so she should not leave the new marriage. If so, people are going to see that she gets married and she stays married. Tzarasa asya liyivumi. People might make a mistake and think that if so, such a kind of a get is a proper get. And if so, this erva is already divorced from the first husband, and the tzara is not a tzara of an erva. The tzara can go and do the mitzvah of yibum. So asya liyivumi. People might make a mistake and think that if so, you can go ahead and do yibum. And since the chachamim were machmer and were geyser and were chayshish that it should not be considered a get, you're not supposed to do yibum here. So people might make such a mistake. And says the Gemara, if that happens, we're not concerned. Tisyabim. True, Rabbanan did not want the Yibum to happen because they were chayshish and geyser that it should not be a get. But if she does Yibum, and she's basically doing Yibum considering this to be a get, minat Torah, it's really a kasher to get. So let her go ahead and do Yibum. Chacham weren't geyser so far. Because chashash Rabbanani, the whole thing, we're not really talking about a suffigation here. We're talking about a get that's only pasul mid Rabbanan, and this whole psul mid Rabbanan was because of a chashash. It's not such a strong chashash, and therefore it's not that chachamim were not geyser. She can let her do Yibum. Now Levi argued with Rav. Levi said, Lo'olam le'teitzei. If she gets married, she never has to leave her second marriage. Doesn't matter, yet children, no children, she never leaves the second marriage. If she got married after these Gittin psulim that we mentioned here, she doesn't have to leave her new marriage. So he told the children of Rab Chalafta, this is what your father said as well, that she never has to leave the second marriage. Now here the Gemara brings in another halacha that Rabbi Yechanan told the children of Rab Chalafta, that he heard from Rab Chalafta. It's an unrelated halacha, but this is another halacha that he heard from their father. The kartzis sheba omer. This kind of insect that's called a kartzis, that's found amongst the sheaves of amongst sheaves. Eina paiselis b'mechatos. If this kartzis, if this insect drinks from the water that's used for the chatas here refers to the water that's designated for the para aduma. So it's not going to passel the water. If the water is of the paraduma, if any animal or bird or anyone drinks from it, it passes. And then what happens is when you drink, so some of the water goes into the mouth and some of the water drips down and goes back into the keli. So it passels the water. But when this kartzis drinks from the water, it does not passel the water. And the point is because the kartzis, when it drinks, everything goes in and nothing drips out. Okay, so Amar Abaye, So, sorry, 1 second. The Gemara asks, my kartzis. What is this kartzis? Amar Abaye didvise the beini chifi. This is this insect that's between the sheaves. Masav Rav Daniel bar Rav Katina. Rav Daniel bar Katina asked on this halacha. It says in the Mishnah that kol ha'oifis paislim b'meichatas. Any bird that drank out of the water, the paraduma, will passel the water. Chutz min hayayna, besides a dove that drinks from the water, mipnei shemitzetzes, because it sucks in from the water and nothing drips down. Only if it went into the mouth and then it drips back down, then it will be passel. When you drink, usually, naturally, when they drink, it goes in, but some of it drips back out from the mouth. So whatever goes back from the mouth into the keli, passels it. That's different. Rashi doesn't explain clearly. Rashi just says that once it goes into the mouth, it loses the Torah of meichatas. Exactly why Rashi doesn't say. Some say because it has to be only in the keli. Once it goes out of the keli, it's passel. Some say there's a din of hesach hadas. There are different reasons Rishayim say. But the point is that by this yaina, the Mishnah says it sucks it in and nothing goes out. But now, if this halacha regarding this kartzis, this fly, this insect, it is the same thing by it as well, that it only goes in and not out. So nisni chutz mi yaina v'kartzis. That Mishnah should have said that not only the yaina but a kartzis as well, it doesn't pass to the water. Answers the Gemara, loy psikele. The Mishnah, the reason the Mishnah doesn't say it is because it's not 100% clear when it comes to the kartzis. The gedoyle loy pasla. This kartzis, only once it's bigger, it's large, so then it's not going to passel this water. Katana pasla. But when it's very small and it drinks, it does drip out. So therefore the Mishnah didn't want to mention that because it's not so clear. Vat kama, what's the size of big, small? Amar Rab Yirmiyah, v'teim Rabami at kazayis. When it's small, meaning up to the size of a kazayis, so this is quite a large insect. When it's up to the size of a kazayis, it drinks and it drips out. But when it's larger than a kazayis are larger, so then it doesn't drip out anymore. Rabbi Lazai ma'afa pivuchulu. So Rabbi Lazai's opinion in the Mishnah is Eidei Mesira Karti, that the Eidei Mesira, they're the ones that make the get kosher. So here the Gemara is going to bring a bunch of different Amirayim which discuss who the halacha is like. And this, because this is a very important halacha regarding a get, not only regarding a get, but regarding all shtaris. As we'll see here, the halacha is like Rabbi Lazar. Amar Rav Yudah Amar Rav halacha ka Rabbi Lazar beGittin. So Rav Yudah said in the name of Rav that we paskin like Rabbi Lazar regarding Gittin. So he said it only regarding Gittin specifically for a divorce, but not regarding every shtar. Now Kamrisa Kamei de Shmuel, when this was said in front of Shmuel, so Amar, Shmuel added and said, not only by Gittin, af b'shtaris. The same is by all shtaris, the halacha is like Rabbi Lazar. Rav Savar, fragt the Gemara, does Rav hold b'shtaris loy, that by shtaris we don't paskin this way, that the get only needs, or a shtar only needs the Eidim by the Mesira without the signatures? But Hakatani, we see that Rabbi Lazar clearly said his halacha not only for a get, it's even for money matters as well. Because what does it say in our Mishnah? The get or any shtar could be used even for the money matter over here to collect from the chasim mishubadim. So the kashrus of the get is not just regarding Eishes Ish. Maybe you could say we had before a svar in the Gemara, maybe Mishum Yiguna Kilo Barabanan, or by Eishes Ish, there's different svaras about this. And the Gemara on Daf Chav Beis, Amid Beis, the Gemara mentioned there's a reason why by get it's different. But over here you see in the Mishnah that by a get, by everything, even by money matters as well. Says the Gemara, you're right. Rabbi Lazar Tarti Yoma. Rabbi Lazar himself holds that Eidei Mesira works for both, for a get and for any shtar. But Rav, Savak Vasei B'chada, Rav is paskin like him regarding a get, but a poligale B'chada. But regarding a regular shtar, he disagrees. He doesn't paskin like Rabbi Lazar. He also said that Allah is like Rabbi Lazar regarding Gittin. Rabbi Yana said an expression regarding this, when you only have Eidem Mesira, that it's not a good get, it doesn't even have a smell of a get. So the Gemara asked, does that mean Rabbi Yana less late than Rabbi Lazar? Rabbi Yana does not hold of what Rabbi Lazar says. Says the Gemara, no, that's not what it means. Hachikama, this is what Rabbi Yana said. L'Rabbana, the Rabbanan that argued with Rabbi Lazar, afilu reach haget, but they argue so far that they hold that there's not even reich haget, meaning reich haget would mean that you puzzle to marry a kohen. They hold that this get is not a get at all, that it's even psul for the kohana there isn't. So Reish Lakish said that halacha Rabbi Lazar beGittin. Rabbi Yochanan came and said about this case the same expression like Rabbi Yanai, afilu reich haget, but there's no reich for this get. So again, the Gemara asks, Leime, Rabbi Yochanan less late than Rabbi Lazar. Does that mean that Rabbi Yochanan disagrees with all these Amirayim that paskin like Rabbi Lazar? So the Gemara says, no, Hachikamal, Rabbanan that argue, afilu reich haget, but there's no reich haget there. Shalach le Rab Abba Bazav de Lamari Barmar the boy minei Rav Huna. The shaila was asked from Rav Huna. Halacha Rabbi Elazar be Gittin. Do we pass like Rabbi Elazar be Gittin? Or ein halacha, or we do not. So ad hachi until they got the answer, but he didn't end up answering because noch nafshe the Rav Huna. Rav Huna passed away. Amalei Rabba Berei. So Rabba his son said hachi Ama Abba. This is what my father Rav Huna said. Mishmei the Rava, or the girsa here is Mishmei the Rav. So Rav Huna said in the name of Rav, halacha Rabbi Elazar be Gittin, that we pass like Rabbi Elazar, like we quoted before in the name of Rav. V'Rabbi Seinu habekiin bedavar. Our teachers that are proficient about this matter, they said halacha mishum Rabbeinu. They said again bekiin bedvar halacha. They're baki in the dvar halacha mishum Rabbeinu. They said in the name of Rabbeinu, which is Rav. Amru that halacha Rabbi Elazar be Gittin, that we pass like Rabbi Elazar be Gittin. Now who's this Rabbi Seinu? The Amar Rab Chama Bar Gurya is Rabbi Seinu, and he said, Amar Rav, in the name of Rav, which is Rabbeinu, halacha Rabbi Elazar be Gittin, that we pass like Rabbi Elazar be Gittin. Iked there's another version over here exactly of what Rab Abba Bazav told Mari Bamar, that he said as follows, V'chavireinu, it's our friend, Habikim B'dvar halacha, that's Baki in the Dvar halacha. And the Talmidei Rabbeinu, and the students of Rabbeinu, which is the students of Rav, Mishum Rabbeinu, in the name of Rav, Amru, they said, Allah Rabbi Elazar be Gittin, that we pass like Rabbi Elazar. Now, who was their friend? The Amar of Chizde. Rav Chizde was their colleague, so he said, Amar of Chama Bar Gurya, in the name of Rav Chama Bar Gurya, which he was the student of Rav. Amar Rav, he said it in the name of Rav, that Halacha Rabbi Elazar be Gittin, we pass like Rabbi Elazar. V'chein ki yasa Ravin, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rav, Halacha Rabbi Elazar be Gittin. The halacha is like Rabbi Elazar when it comes to Gittin.